everyone. So today's episode of the Risk and All podcast with Fergus, the founder of Hinba. And where do I start with this one? An absolutely phenomenal story. Fergus grew up in multiple different countries over the world. He was born in Holland, went to Argentina, Oman, and then worked his way back to Scotland. His father had a successful career in Shell, in oil, and ended up in a boarding school, navigated through there, and ended up over in Mallorca on yachts and boats, working as a deckhand. Started a carpentry business in Palma, and then gravitated back to his homeland. And Fergus talked us through his business career, how he launched Hinba Coffee by just buying a roaster in Holland and getting it shipped over and getting stuck in. And nowadays, you know, he's got multiple coffee shops, a bakery, 2 restaurants, all across sort of Scotland, and just a brilliant story about just trying things and not letting doubt hold you back and getting stuck in. And yeah, we hope you enjoy it. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Risk and All podcast. I'm joined by my usual co-host John Conway on my right hand side here, and today's guest, we're delighted to welcome Fergus into the Risk and All podcast. Fergus is the founder of Hinba Coffee, which is a speciality coffee brand, and he's also the owner of 2 restaurants in Glasgow. So plenty to get into today, and we're delighted to have you, Fergus. Thanks for coming.
Much. Yeah, thank you.
So before we dive straight into coffee, I'm a coffee lover. John's half a dozen cups a day at least, surely.
Aye, about that.
Yeah. So before we dive into that, there's obviously a bit of a trajectory of where you started and where you are now. So I'd love to hear your story, Fergus, around, you know, growing up and, you know, going through your early part of your life before you get into your career in business. Mm-hmm. So, talk to us about the early years of Fergus before you get into business.
Start at the beginning. I was born in Holland. So my dad's he worked for Oil and Gas, Shell, and then we're born in Holland. I think in a few weeks moved to China, and then sort of every 3 or 4 years we moved country after that. So we were China, Oman, Argentina, back to Holland. And then there was a posting to Nigeria, but it wasn't deemed the best for the family that we all went to Nigeria to live. So then the kids got shipped off to boarding school back here in Scotland. So Then we went to Glen Almond College in Perthshire.
Hi all, sorry to interrupt the podcast. We'll get back in just 30 seconds. This podcast is brought to you by Jolly Media Marketing. If you are a business owner and you're looking to grow your brand and generate more leads, then Jolly Media Marketing can help your business do exactly that. Our team focuses on video-first paid advertising. We create engaging content and we promote that using targeted campaigns that will consistently bring in new customer inquiries. We also help businesses with SEO and GEO, which is generative engine optimization, helping AI search engines like ChatGPT and Gemini find your brand. We also arrange podcast appearances, PR, out-of-home advertising using billboards, and organic LinkedIn strategy consultancy. All designed to help your brand be seen and help new customer inquiries arrive into the business every single week. To learn more about how we help businesses grow and to see if we can do the exact same for your local business, go and visit our website at www.jollymediamarketing.com. Speak to you soon.
Wow, so we're going to need to go back a second there. So there was a bit of zigzagging as we thought.
A lot going along.
So first place, you were born in Holland.
Yeah.
Yeah, and your father worked with Shell, Oil and Gas. Wow. Where was your father born? Was he born in Scotland?
He's Dundee.
Dundee. Brilliant.
Yep, he's Dundee.
So he gravitated towards the North Sea oil industry and oil and gas. Yeah. And how long did you live in Holland for? So you were born there. Were you there long?
So we were there for I think 6 weeks when I was tiny. So we were there for 6 weeks. But then when we circled back, we were there for another 3 years, I think.
Right.
So later on.
And out of all those countries you mentioned there, Fergus, obviously you only retain a small amount of memories for your childhood, but is there any of the countries that you remember sort of being young and growing up in?
My favourite was Argentina,
right?
By far. I think I was the perfect age. Then I was 7 to 11-ish. And I just had it was really hard settling at the beginning. We were the only foreign kids in the school. We went to an Argentine school that did Spanish in the mornings, and then they did a few hours of English in the afternoons. So it was like initially really hard for us to settle and adjust, and there was difficulties for everyone. But like once we got that like group of friends, it was amazing. For me, it was like the best time ever.
Wow.
I had amazing friends, and I used to like go away to their like. I mean, in Argentina, there's a massive like wealth disparity as well.
Yeah.
So the school we were at is like, generally speaking, it was a richer, higher end school, and the kids there had a different sort of lifestyle. We'd go away to like massive estancias over weekends, and they would like fly you out in like an airplane, and you'd go into these big farms and just ride horses all the time, and in these compounds with like football grounds and everything like that. So I lived like with my parents during the week, and then I'd just go off in the weekends and then live another lifestyle with my friends over the weekends.
That's amazing. And whereabouts in Argentina was this, sort of between 7 and 11?
Buenos Aires.
Wait, so you were in the big city then?
Yeah. And which was a massive difference too. So we were in Oman before that.
Right.
So the country before that was Oman, and it was super free. Like we lived in this PDO compound, which is just like a compound where all the Shell staff worked, but it was just total freedom, like total freedom. You could go anywhere. It was as safe as anything. Yeah, you're on your bikes all the time. You're outside all the time. You're down at the beach club all the time. You're just outside, free.
Right.
And then go to Argentina, it's like lockdown.
Yeah.
It's super dangerous.
Yeah.
Like 3 gates before our gate, there were guards on the corners of each block. You had to take taxis everywhere. You couldn't. So it was a completely different environment. But then we got that freedom within our sort of group of friends.
Right, okay.
That's amazing. And obviously at a young age, being in that environment can be quite daunting, especially with the language.
Yeah.
Did you get, pick up the language? Did you learn the language at that point?
I'm fluent in Spanish.
Amazing.
I just sort of absorbed it, luckily. My sister absorbed a lot as well. She's pretty good. My brother was too young, so he didn't really pick up anything.
Fair
so
enough.
I was sort of that perfect age of just immersion and
just absorbing everything.
Just absorbed it.
So how was the actual school environment then? Was it not quite tricky? Or was it?
At the start, tricky. Yeah, really tricky. I was very much an outcast at the beginning, but then by the end of it, like just one of them. Yeah.
It's amazing. And you mentioned your brother and sister, so you've got 2 siblings as well?
Yeah, older sister, younger brother.
Older sister, you're in the middle. They always say the second child's always the craziest, to be fair, but is that ring true for you?
Yeah, it's not far away from the truth.
Second child sitting here, so I'm with you. And what's the sort of, I know you're in the middle, but are you close in age? Are they?
Yeah, 2 and 2 years.
All
split,
right.
pretty much.
Smack bang in the middle. Yeah. So obviously you had your father in the oil industry, and you were taking in all these different cultures, which is both challenging but amazing at the same time. And anything else apart from that sort of, obviously challenging at the start of school, but then you settled into it, had a great friendship group, you learned loads. Was there any other fond memories around being a 7, 8, 9, 10, 11-year-old in Argentina that you can think of?
I think just being there, it was just so different. I can't even really explain. It's just being there growing up was so different. But I think when I was there, it was very normal. And growing up, like through our life, moving country every 3 or 4 years was super normal to me.
Yeah.
We'd move, we'd make new friends, we'd stick around, we'd go, we'd this. And then it was only when we went to boarding school at the end of the day, and you went there and you'd realise that everyone had known each other for like all their lives. Right. And no one had moved and stuff. And then that's when, first of all, you're a bit of an outsider again, because you haven't stayed and lived and been to the same school forever. But also then you look back and you say, actually, that's amazing. Like we've seen the world already. You can speak another language already.
Yeah. I mean, that's just phenomenal, isn't it?
It's just, yeah.
So you'd be a proper interesting character for people to then sponge from as well and learn from.
Yeah. Or different, maybe.
A bit different.
Yeah. But
and you mentioned boarding school then, so was it in Argentina you went to boarding school?
No, here in Scotland.
When you came back,
yeah.
You had the sort of such a different experience between 7 and 11, and was it at age 11 you came back to Scotland then?
So we went then to Holland. I think it might have even just been a year then. So we went to Holland, then I went to boarding school straight after that. I think then there was a quick posting because my brother stayed in Holland for another year on, I think, and me and my sister went to boarding school first.
Right.
So I think there was a sort of like a year or half year that we were in Holland and then went to boarding school. Yeah.
Cool. And whereabouts did you go to boarding school?
Glenalmond
Glenalmond
College in Perth.
Right. So this is you very much back in the homeland after.
Well, it's the first time.
Yeah.
That's the first time we'd lived in Scotland. I've been to Scotland, so we'd always take holidays back here. So my parents had always had a holiday house on the west coast,
right,
near Oban.
Nice.
A place called Arduni. It's on Loch
Oh
Melfa.
yeah, I know where you are.
So we used to always come back here for summer holidays from abroad.
That's quite ironic, isn't it? With the floods of Scottish people going the other way.
So that was sort of the most base we'd ever had here, but it would always be just summers. And then summers down in Wales where my mum's parents are from and things like that. And then it was only when we came to boarding school, that's when we first started living here.
Right, got you. And what was boarding school like? So I've never been to boarding school, don't really know too much about it. Anyone listening might think one thing about boarding school. So what was the dynamic of that? Was it, you were there, staying there?
Staying there, yeah. So I think it was like 12 probably, the first one that we went to, 12-ish. And a big adjustment, massive adjustment. It is like what it is, you get sort of dropped off and wave goodbye and see your parents again in, I think it was every 4 to 6 weeks,
right,
or something like that. So then you'd get like a weekend off, and they would get to come over, and then you'd see them for a weekend, and then they used to call them exeats, I think.
Ah, right, okay, yeah.
And then you used to see them for the weekend, and then back in school again for another 4 to 6 weeks, and off you go. And then massive adjustment to start with. And then, especially because at the start, my parents lived in Holland as well. Both parents lived in Holland. And so there was no chance of really seeing. But then when they finally got posted to Nigeria, my dad went to Nigeria mainly, and my mum had a base back here in Scotland, and she would split her time between Nigeria and Scotland, and we'd see a bit more of her then because she would come to rugby matches and
got you.
on every
what
weekend.
Was the driver for boarding school then? If your dad was still doing international travel, I thought what you were going to say there, maybe your dad got posted back to like Grangemouth or one of the Scottish refineries.
So I think Nigeria, Lagos just wasn't a place for a family. And then Shell were part of the package was just like we'll handle school fees wherever you choose. So pick. Yeah. And then that was the sort of best opportunity for us to go to a place like that. Because it's quite extreme elite school. But it was good. It was great for us.
Yeah. After the adjustment period.
After the adjustment period, but you grow up fast. You become pretty self-sufficient pretty quickly.
Yeah, that makes sense if you've not got mum and dad there.
Although you've got this super structured life.
Yeah.
Breakfast is at this time, and you've got like a chapel service at this time every morning, and then you've got this at this time, this at this time, this at this time. You've got lunch, then sport, then lessons again, then chapel again, then set periods of time for your homework every night, and then you get a bit of free time at the end of the day. So super regimented.
Yeah, but I must have created. I suppose you think that experience has helped you, or we'll get on to the business career, but do you think that's helped you with your business career, having that structure?
Yeah, for sure. It gives you the ability to be able to like structure a day and like compartmentalize a day pretty well, and you have to, and you're kind of responsible yourself. There's no one telling you to do your homework. I mean, the way that the homework sessions, prep time they were called, were done. You were put in a room of kids your age, within your house, and then another pupil would oversee you to do your homework. So if you didn't do it, there's no one there to make you do it, and if you didn't do well, then it's kind of on you. Yeah.
So you're ultimately responsible for your own path at that point.
Yeah. Not that made me do much work, but I mean, at the end of the day, it was on you. So So whether you did well or not, or you bothered or not, it was your choice.
Yeah, you're the key holder to your success at that point. And you mentioned rugby there. I could see a glint in your eye about the parents would come to the rugby matches. Yeah. Was that your sport of choice? When you were in school?
massively into rugby.
Yeah.
It was the thing I wanted to do and be from. So I started playing. The first time I picked up a rugby ball, I was probably like 4 in Oman, and there was like a Oman expat rugby club thing. So that's probably the first time I picked up a ball. Then really got into it in Argentina, and then keep playing in Holland, and then picked it up, and really it took off a wee bit when I came to boarding school here.
Yeah.
The opportunities at these schools are incredible.
Yeah, the facilities as well.
Yeah.
I'd love to be talking about a Six Nations one now, but we know it didn't quite go as planned.
Yeah, missed opportunity, I think.
Yeah, but it's interesting, out of all the places you've mentioned there, Holland, Argentina, Scotland and Oman, if you gave me a guess to say where did you get into rugby, I think I would have put Oman at the bottom, to be fair.
Yeah.
But it just shows you about that expat community, doesn't
community,
it?
Exactly. Yeah.
And so at that point in boarding school, you've got through your adjustment period. You're getting right into rugby. You've got this aspiration to be a rugby player, which is amazing. Was there any other sort of things or subjects or areas in school that you took a real keen interest in?
To be honest, not. I wasn't very academic. It didn't. I was very much. If I had a modicum of interest in it, then I would do well at it. But it wasn't. It was really low on my priority ladder, to be honest, at school and stuff. I did well. I did okay, but it was very much cruise control.
Yeah.
And then when pushed, then fine, I'd crack on a bit. But I picked all the wrong subjects as well.
Yeah.
Everything that I was actually naturally good at, I didn't take further, and then I just did things that I just did for the sake of
traditional
doing
subjects.
them. Yeah.
And your sister's obviously at the same boarding school at this time?
Yeah, she went to the same one.
Get to spend a bit of time with her then since you were there, or were you kind of segmented a
very
bit?
segmented. So I was very much into like the rugby sport crowd. She wasn't into her sports at all. And then being that 2 years older as well, within this sort of the school hierarchy system as well, there was very much like they were the seniors, we were the juniors.
Got you.
And then by the time we sort of crossed that barrier, then she'd left. Away. I was friends with some of her friends some of her peers through rugby, because I played up a year.
Right.
In some of the teams, and so there was that sort of little bit of crossover, but not really. No, you'd sort of you wouldn't even wave to each other across the school.
Stop embarrassing me, little brother.
And in general, was the school okay with that type of thing? You know, the sporty, people versus the more academic people. Was that okay, or was that also still a challenge?
So I think when I was there, it was kind of okay, but they were wanting to get rid of it, and they wanted to sort of level it out a wee bit.
Yeah.
And then I think in the subsequent years, the sport pretty much fell away from that school almost entirely. I think at one point, they almost couldn't field a rugby team. And now they're bringing it back again. They're bringing back all these like rugby scholarships and things like that. So,
that's interesting how it's kind of went away and came back.
But it swung, for sure. Sure. I think there was maybe like another year or two of decent after I left, and then it really, really fell away.
Right, okay. Yeah. And the scale of the school, was there a lot of pupils in it?
I think like 400 kids.
Yeah?
Yeah. Really small. You knew everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, you pretty much knew everyone's name in the whole school, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
At the same time. Because that's the experience when I talk to other people now, say at the rugby club now, and you talk to them about school and stuff like that, and they talk about something, like, blows my mind.
I
do not know everyone. And it's like, there were like 400 my year. It's like, wild.
That's quite standard, actually. I think my school was nearly 2,000 students in it.
Yeah, mine's about 400 as well, and you're right. You pretty much know everybody.
Everyone.
You know their families as well, actually,
which
is quite nice, actually.
Yeah, it was cool.
Quite supportive.
Yeah. It was really good. But oddly, I don't really keep up with anyone from school anymore.
No.
A lot of kids went down to London.
Right.
Yeah.
Just again, I think this is my upbringing, my intentions after school were completely different.
Right.
I left school, tried to play rugby for a year, didn't work out, moved to Spain.
Who did you try and play for?
So I was playing down in Melrose.
Oh, nice.
So as part of through school, I was part of the Gwent Dragons Academy.
Right.
Which is down in Wales. So I was like Welsh Exiles and stuff. So I did like the regional representative stuff up here, but it wasn't really going anywhere up here. So then I ended up doing some stuff down in Wales and going into an academy system down there, and then started playing for Melrose.
Right.
Nice.
And then tore my hip. Oh. And then I just packed in. Had enough.
So roughly around about what time is this? What year? if we're thinking about a timeline. So
when did I leave school? 2009, I think.
2009.
Yeah.
That's the same year I left, actually, to be
Yeah.
fair. And when you left school, just to round up your academic side, I'm smiling because what you were saying resonates with me in my academic career about coasting and all that fun stuff. So you left school, you done okay?
Yeah. Absolutely nothing to write home about, but fine.
Fine.
Yeah.
Right, cool. And then you launched yourself into rugby.
Yeah.
And it's funny because you obviously went to school in Scotland for the latter part of your, and then you ended up in doing rugby in Wales. So
Yeah.
you're actually kind of subconsciously gravitating to both your parents' areas.
Yeah.
Which is quite cool.
Yeah.
And then you had that bad injury. So talk to us about that injury. Was that a real point in your sort of aspirations where you thought, this just isn't going to happen, rugby?
Yeah, I think so. So the academy stuff started to slow down, because then you had to go into the senior academy stuff, and that wasn't going to go further. And I think it was just a case of just probably enough, just burnt out from trying throughout the school and things like that. And then this one injury, and I was just like, I'm sort of done. I need to change.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even a subconscious, like a conscious, right, I'm done. It was just more of a subconscious, I think, just going to go do something else.
Yeah. Just thought, change path.
Yeah.
And what's obviously back then, before your injury, you had the aspirations to get into professional rugby, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
So everyone's quite familiar with the route for professional footballers. It's like very, 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 very fractional percentage points that actually make it. It's really hard, and there's academies, first team, reserves, all that stuff. What's the trajectory if you wanted to become a professional rugby player?
A lot different now to then.
Yeah.
I think then you would come through. You'd mainly come through a club system. So you'd probably come through your big clubs, your Melroses, your Ayres, your Stirlings back then, and things like that. And you'd come through then, and you'd get probably seen, scouted, and then invited to senior academy trainings. Or I think they had elite player development groups back then. It's slightly different. And then you go through that, and then you're under 20s, and then probably you'd end up doing some sevens, because there was a big sevens program back then, or bigger sevens program back then, and then eventually so on and so forth.
So it's similar to a certain degree. There's a bit of an academy structure, kind reserves.
Of. Now I think much more. They do a lot more of the regional district. It's much more organised all the way through.
Oh, right, okay.
And you do your Callies this, and your Cali West, and Cali East, and your Edinburgh East West, and your Glasgow East West, and they all come together, and it's much more tiered and structured, and then senior academies, and then pro contracts and stuff.
But it's still tough in Scotland, though, isn't it? You know?
Yeah,
it's
I
still
think
real tough.
There's only 2 professional clubs.
Yeah.
So they're both owned by the SRU. There's only 2 professional clubs. There's a limited amount of spots you're going to get.
Exactly.
You're competing against the world.
Exactly.
You know, like SRU's ultimate goal is to win Six Nations World Cups and stuff like that. And as much as they want to and can develop their own talent, I guess, like, if there's a kid who's Scottish qualified in New Zealand or South Africa, or you're also competing against these kids now, I think, more than you were before.
I get that, and it's an absolute shame, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's a tough sport as well. Like,
absolutely,
you miss a couple of key years, and that could be you done.
I know.
Very grueling on the body.
When you're in that kind of that down in Melrose, in the borders, when I was a boy, it was just rugby in that area. Not so much football. But the schools weren't connected. Certainly, when I went to school, it was a extracurricular activity type thing. So you never got taught it properly, and you played in many different positions, and there was just no structure to it. There was no path. No proper path. The Borders embraced it completely different, because that was more cultural, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was much more. It's ingrained in them.
It's properly ingrained. And that's where a lot of the good Scottish players kind of came from. But then it's a shame now that what you're seeing even in private education, that there's more academic swing as well. Taking that away from. So just makes it hard, doesn't it, for us to compete properly?
It is tough, and it's like, in hindsight, like I probably was never going to make it. Like, just even physically, probably just not big enough. That was part of one of the things they said to me down in the academy. Is like, the guy who got through the next levels. I think he ended up playing for Wales for one, a cap for Wales or something. But he was like at at 18 he was like 6'3" and 100 something
Yeah, just
kilos.
a
You know, it's
monster.
just it's just different. And the game has changed a wee bit, and they're probably picking a bit more skill over monsters nowadays. But like earlier, it was just like the bigger you are, the further you went, especially at schoolboy.
Yeah.
At schoolboy level. But in hindsight, that's probably the reality of it. It was never really going to happen. But it sort of led us to where we are now. So in a way, it's all fine.
My last question on rugby then, before we go on then. Melrose Sevens, did you take a part in?
I never did.
You never did?
No. I've had the chance twice to. Once injured, couldn't compete, and the other time I was away on a holiday, so just couldn't do it. Yeah, okay. But that's only just been now at the end of my rugby career that I actually had those opportunities.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
Do you play any rugby these days?
Yeah. Still playing.
Yeah.
Still playing. I'm the oldest in the squad
Oh, good.
by a couple of years.
Still get that passion there then?
You definitely, yeah. I want to keep going. So my granddad, he's the guy. He's where all the rugby sort of passion comes from.
Right.
And he said, like, the one thing he said was like he regretted stopping so early. So just keep going until the wheels fall off.
Right. Good for you.
So
Good for you.
Yeah, still Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays.
Have you ever played rugby at Uddingston Rugby Club?
I played there once, yeah. So when we first moved, once we first moved back, and then started Hinba, I played a season and a half up in Oban as well, and they had a fixture against Uddingston. Yeah,
that's where I live. That's what I was asking. I've never stepped foot in the rugby pitch, but I've been in the bar a couple of times. It's a nice setup.
There was actually an Argentine boy that was playing for them.
Oh, really?
And halfway through the game, I clocked that he was Spanish or Argentine. And I just tried chirping away at him in Spanish,
right.
And he was.
So you could distract him quite easy, couldn't you? Get him out of position.
Yeah, there you go. So who are you playing for now then?
GHA.
Okay.
In Gifnick.
Yeah. Okay. Then. All right.
Yeah.
Great stuff. So we've got to the point where the rugby career didn't quite materialise. What was next? What was next for Fergus?
So it was just a radical change, I think, was the goal. And through just growing up, we'd always been sailing and things like that, and being on sailing holidays. And something that stuck in my mind once was one of these sailing holidays, we did like a chartered yacht. I can't remember where it was, in Sardinia or somewhere like that. And that was a job. You know, you could sail a boat for people, and that was a job. And I was like, that's pretty class. I could do a bit of that, just like living on a boat in the sun, sailing it around, taking people to cool places, and that seemed pretty ideal. So that's what I'm going to do. Then went to Isle of Wight, got a couple of courses, sailing courses and safety courses that you need to do, like TCW 95, firefighting courses, first aid courses, radio courses, these sorts of things. And then bought a plane ticket to Mallorca and just, went out there with a backpack looking for a job on a super yacht.
Wow. I'm nodding. I'm seeing John nod. John, you're a keen enthusiast.
I've been learning to sail for a couple of years now.
Nice.
Gave up the golf.
Yeah.
And thought something else, and
sailing.
The ocean drove me.
Yeah. There's something about it.
It's amazing.
I love it.
It's something I've never experienced or done before. Always kind of had let's try that. Never tried it before.
Yeah.
Kind of pedal in Greece was probably my limits.
Yeah.
First time I went on a boat on the west coast of Scotland.
Yeah.
Just amazing.
Yeah.
Properly, just immediately enthused.
Yeah. I love it. I love being out on the water.
Yeah. And
really
you're
do.
Probably, so age-wise, you're probably what, young, early 20s at this point?
20, just about to be 21, I think.
21.
I think 20, 21.
Thinking back to my 21-year-old self, I think Mallorca might have been quite a good choice for your first
it is
gig.
pretty wild. Yeah, it's class.
Talk to us about that then. What was your experience like over there?
So, total naivety. Just landed, didn't have somewhere to stay, didn't literally backpack on my bag. I had like a scribble down somewhere basically where to find this hostel, which was recommended for yachties to stay at to be able to find work and stuff like that, and then end up finding it. I can't remember for the life of me. I can't remember what it's called now. I could take you there, but I don't know what it's called. And then just a couple of €100 in the bank account, and then you do this. You just have a CV which says absolutely nothing on it because you have zero experience. You've just done a couple of courses. There's 100 other people like you in Mallorca at the time with the exactly same scenario, and it turned down to a little bit of. It does turn into a bit of dumb luck. Like you're just traipsing up and down the ports every single day, knocking on, ringing buzzers of every single boat. Do you have any more day work today? First you start off with day work. Yep. Do you have any day work today? Day work. Yes, no. Eventually someone says, yep, cool, fine, come, clean. We need to do a wash down. Our owners are coming tomorrow. Jump on, wash down. Another little bit on the CV. Day work, this boat, whatever.
Brilliant. I mean, fair play to you. Like,
yeah, that's brilliant.
You know, like that to me has so many resonates with so many stories we've heard in this podcast about starting, not just sometimes starting a business, but starting a career.
Yeah.
You know, that's like the ultimate sales door knocking technique where you're just like,
in hindsight,
I don't care how many no's I get, I'm just going to keep going till I get a yes.
I mean, you have to,
You do.
It was literally, and you'd get, day work was pretty well paid and it was all cash in hand stuff, and you just kind of get to the end of the week. You get to the end, you try and get to the end of the week to be able to afford the next week, and that's literally how you're going.
Yeah.
And enjoying yourself as well, because it was pretty fun place to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then I think it took me, I was down to like my last handful of euros, and then eventually got a proper job, not proper job, but I actually got employed by a boat to be a deckhand on there after doing, again, I think 2 weeks worth of day work on that boat. And then one of their deckhands quit, and then they just, out of, I don't know how many of us there were, they just hired the one who they thought worked the hardest, and that was it.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, there you go. You've got your first proper job then.
First proper job, yeah.
Yeah, and talk to us about that experience then. So you were a deckhand.
Deckhand.
Now, I'm admittedly not an expert when it comes to anything to do with, boats, yachts. I was on my first ever boat in Loch Lomond recently, which I thought it was fucking amazing, by the way. Shout out to Mike Lally at Freedom Boat Club.
Yeah.
So what is a deckhand?
Deckhand, so decky is like, the basic part of the job is just cleaning. You just clean the boat. You make sure the stainless is shiny and the white paint is shiny. That is the most basic part. And then it sort of, as you get more experience, or different boats require you to have different skill sets, but you end up like tender driving, jet ski maintenance, toys, looking after guests and stuff. So the role can vary from, on like super large boats, you can have like a range of skills, and you can be like a new guy who's pretty much just in charge of a mop and a chamois, and then you get guys who are then actually driving charter guests around, and maybe they've got dive skills and stuff like that, and they'll take guests down diving, and some like have PT skills and they'll do PT work with that. So it completely varies. There's a big range of what a decky can do, and then there's progression. Deckies become lead deckhands, become bosuns, become first, second officers, first officers, captains, stuff like that. So it's like,
but your absolute opportunity there is you're in that confined space type thing.
Yeah.
If you're then relied on and you're absolutely willing and you're passionate and you do stuff to the best of your ability, you get seen and you're trusted, and then you get easily pulled in.
For sure.
Can you do that? Can you help us with that?
Yeah.
And then if you got that attitude, you'll just do it well and you'll just progress.
Yeah, you're part of a team as well that works 24/7. Like the boat never stops. The jennies are always on, the engines are always on, something's always on, someone's always running, and there's danger everywhere. It's like you're on the sea. So you are part of a team, and like you have to graft. You're working all the time. There are laws and rules and regulations about 8 hours sleep and break times and stuff like that, but they're not very well adhered to. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, you got to do it. Like if the boat, you've just finished a graveyard shift, then the boat takes off in the morning and it comes into port, and you've had 2 hours sleep, but you need 5 deckies on deck to bring the boat in. You've got to get up and do it. There's no sort of ifs, ands or buts about it. So you should just get on with it.
And
that's transferred a lot to life now. It's just like, no one's going to do it for you, so just get on with it.
Just get on with it, and don't kick up a fuss when you just need to get stuff done.
Yeah.
And of this first job, obviously, was there a few deckhands then?
Yeah, in the first boat, I think there was 4 or 5 of us.
So was it quite a large boat then?
Yeah, 75 metre.
Aye.
Sir Donald Gosling owned it at the time. He was the NCP car parks guy.
Right.
And he used it mainly for like entertaining, and we'd have some royals come on, and you'd have George Lucas was one of his guests, and who else? Some massive, I don't know, he owned some like all the Latin American TV stations in America. That was wild, actually. So he came on, he chartered the boat, I think. He chartered the boat for 2 or 3 months.
Right.
And I think the boat chartered out at like 750 grand a week, something like that. So he chartered it for that length of time, but he only ended up staying for like 4 days. But then gave the crew each a full like 2 months worth of charter tips, which was like $20,000 each.
Wow.
Yeah, wild.
That's crazy, isn't it? And shows you the scale these people are.
Oh, it's wild. Yeah.
So you've seen some interesting people on the boat when you were working on it?
Yeah.
Did that really give you enthusiasm and kind of open your eyes up a little bit to just business, or were you just quite happy?
Just quite happy, just cracking on at that time. It just seemed like business wasn't necessarily something in my vision at the time. I think when I was there, especially at the start of the yachting career, I was like, oh, I'll be a captain. I'll work towards that one day, because I got super well paid, 250 grand a year, and 6 months off, 6 months on. So it seemed like a decent career at the time. But then as time went on, you kind of saw how the people in those more senior positions, their lives in the background were a mess. They had divorced, they had kids everywhere, they had this, they were all alcoholics, and they were not the happiest people. So that sort of derailed that, and time to look for something else.
Fair enough. And do you think you enjoyed that first branch into employment because your sort of journey up to that point so far? So you'd been well travelled, you'd seen quite a bit of the world, and was that kind of drive you towards the
it was more seeing the world. Like, I got to see more of the world. Which wasn't a conscious decision of like, I want to do this because I get to see the world, but it just, like, I felt comfortable just not being in the same place all the time. You earned really good money, and the work wasn't hard. Like, it was physically hard and stuff like that, but it's not, it's cleaning boats and keeping things shiny and working and driving tenders around, like, so it was fun, and it was active, and it was physical.
And it was sunny.
It was really sunny.
Which always helps, I suppose.
And you'd go out for like 2 or 3 weeks on a charter, and then you'd get a couple of days off, in Antigua, with a big tip in your pocket, and you'd party for a few days and then back to work.
And having to deal with a wide range of different characters, from clients and clients' guests on board. Also quite difficult.
So we had all sorts. We might have Kane on at one point, actually. Camilla Parker Bowles, George Lucas, to name a few. Well, in another boat I worked on, we had, I can't remember what his name was, Vargas, Venezuelan banker who's now in jail.
I was going to say, I wonder how he's doing now.
He's in jail, I think. He had like a ex-Miss Venezuela as a wife. He was wild, actually. So he sacked the chef, the head chef. So he had a team of racehorses, polo horses, which he'd use to fly around the world and play in different polo competitions around the world. Right. We went to Cartagena, so we could play in this big polo competition in Cartagena. And en route, the chef got the message that he is on a strict diet, get all the meat off the boat, he needs to lose weight. So the freezers is usually full of like prime beef, wagyu steaks and all of that stuff. Absolutely no meat can be on the boat. absolute final orders. So we then end up tucking into all the meat because he's just like, right, I've got to get this stuff done. So we're eating like Wagyu lasagnas and stuff. Like he's just feeding us all this stuff. Comes on board, all fine. He checks these things. He checks around, fine, good. Everyone's happy. Boom, da da da. As the sort of the charter goes on, something triggered it. I think him and his missus fell out or something like that, and he comes back to the boat like fuming. And he's like, I want a steak. And the chef's like, about that. He got sacked on the spot.
Yeah,
he was just like, this guy just lost it and just like, get the fuck off my boat. Da da da. You've got 20 minutes, and then just sack the guy on the spot.
That's terrible, isn't it?
Another decky got sacked for helping his wife onto the boat, and he was like, "Nah, you're flirting with my wife," and sacked him. But immediately, like on the spot, it's like pack his bags for him. He's not allowed back on this boat.
That's wild.
He was mental. That guy was mental.
And that was a Venezuelan banker.
Venezuelan banker guy.
Yeah. Well, probably no surprise that he's in the jail now.
Yeah.
Was he the most challenging person that you've seen on the boat on your career?
George Lucas's son, Jed. He was the most challenging one. He was a shitbag.
Oh, was he?
He was. I don't know. I think he was maybe 16 or 17. I think, and. He's just caused havoc. He just didn't give a shit about anything. He was like you'd be standing on watch on the side of the thing. He would just like push you in the water. You're like,
oh really?
And you'd have your phone in your pocket, and you're this, and you'd lose your glasses, and you'd break a radio. And he was just like totally entitled.
Just an awful
just
person.
a wee brat. Yeah.
Yeah. I suppose that's a celebrity child for you.
Yeah,
some of them do end up going that way.
The one thing he did do was quite funny. You know those big slingshot things you get for water balloons? Have you ever seen them?
Yeah.
The 3-man things. He made one of our deckhands like paddle out into the sea and just like used them as target practice, and it was like that was deemed as acceptable. And
so crazy. I was kind of going to ask you that. We kind of watched things like Below Deck and reality type programs.
Super similar.
And it's kind of cringy for me a wee bit. My family quite like to watch it because there's the entertainment value of that.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of sitting and saying, it's not really, too much about the actual sailing and stuff like that. So was the sailing experiences really good and cool as well, or was it more just the...
some of them, but you're working.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So some, like, you go to amazing places and you get amazing photos and sunsets, and like the Atlantic crossing was amazing. Like,
all right.
Like you wouldn't... So we like stopped halfway in the Atlantic. You jumped in the sea in the middle of the Atlantic. Like there's nothing underneath you. And like night times, like you felt like you were in a dome. Like you'd be like, there's nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing. There's like clear skies, flat calm, and the stars go down to the horizon.
Yeah.
Everywhere
as far
you
as
look.
you can see.
Yeah. There's nothing on the radar.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
Yeah.
Like you are completely alone out there. I think in the 14-day passage, one ship came on our radar. We didn't even see it. It was just on the radar somewhere.
Right.
So that sort of stuff is super cool.
Mm-hmm.
But like in terms of like enjoying being out, you're kind of working, because you're like, as soon as you get underway, in your head you're like, class. When I get there, wash down. Like every time you move, you're like, great, solid boat, brilliant. Get the cushions away, don't lose anything. So you're in work mode rather than
good memories of Palma Bay and
amazing. And Palma is like my favorite, one of my favorite places.
I'm going there this weekend actually.
Oh, so lucky.
Down at Portixel.
Nice, Portichol. Yeah. That's lovely.
So yeah, a little bit out of town a wee bit, but
it's perfect down there. That's really nice and quiet.
There's smaller marinas down there as well.
Yeah.
Which is really nice, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a really nice seafood restaurant just there on the corner. Can't remember what it's called.
Just next to the
Pulpo, I think it's something like that. Yeah.
Amazing. So, as always, we could talk about this part of your story for a while. I've got one final question about your career on the boats.
Yep.
We've mentioned about maybe some of the not so great characters you met.
Yeah.
Was there any really, impressive and helpful people that you met in your career that stand out?
Probably not really. Just like, so my yachting career was split into maybe 2 phases as well. There was the one where I was actually working on the boats on Leander and Ronin and going around doing charters, Caribbean, Med, stuff like that. And then I split it and went traveling for a bit and then came back to Palma, and I sort of then just did maybe a summer and a bit of just day work. So just based in Palma, living in Palma, and just doing day work. I wasn't bothered about the charter guests and doing that anymore. I just wanted to work and live in Palma doing refit work. So you'd just bounce from boat to boat, and you'd sort of get a reputation for someone who'd just come in. You know, they'd stick you down in a bilge somewhere, and you'd be happy to paint it and scrub it and stuff, and then you get a reputation for doing that well, and then you just be passed along the boats basically. So we did that, but I think just the group of friends that you made there and in that sort of time, and there was just a bunch of us, and we just all did that together. But I don't think there was anyone I really met that I was like, you know, any people, business people, or anything like that. We just stayed pretty far away from them.
Yeah, sounds like it was kind of that environment where everything was very centred around just working and getting it done.
Yeah, just getting it done, and then working hard, and then having good fun afterwards.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, that was
that definitely beats working in a bar.
Yeah. I guess it was that sort of, instead of doing that, that sort of like classic cafe bar hospitality work, it's
great.
Just
I love that. Great story.
Yeah, it's good fun.
Amazing. And then what was after? What came next?
So that day work then led to, while I was there, I met my wife. So she was on holiday. She came to holiday to Mallorca. So she, if you know Mallorca, everyone's heard of Magaluf.
Yeah.
So the Germans have a version of Magaluf the other side of Palma, on to the west of Palma, and it's called Arenal.
Right.
And it's basically just German Magaluf. It's exactly the same. So she went there for a holiday, and then me and a couple of mates, we just thought it'd be a good laugh to go over there just to see what it was like. And we just ended up meeting up there, and then we stayed in contact for a while. And a friend of mine they were about to go into a big refit period, and he wanted me to join his boat to then help them with the refit work, because that's kind of got good at doing that sort of painting and fixing and working stuff. So I joined his boat for that notorious Cartagena summer, with the intentions that we knew that boat was going to go up to Germany to go back to the original shipyard to get a big service done, and then I would spend the winter there working with them, doing all these handy jobs. So my boat ended up did all of that. Boat ended up going back up to Rendsburg, which is the north of Germany, for a winter where like the sun never came up, and it was like -14. Wow. It was grim. And got back in touch with Ness again, and then we started meeting up on weekends, and then so I'd drive down to see her. She was staying in a place called Salzgitter, it was like 2 hours away from where my boat was. So I'd drive down, see her often, we'd meet halfway and things like that. And then eventually, I think the boat ended up staying there for longer than it was meant to, like a year and a half. It was only meant to be like six to 9 months, but ended up staying there for longer. So we built up a really good relationship over that time. And then the boat was due to go to Miami, I think, and I had no interest in that. So I quit the boat, and then we were like, "Oh, cool! What should we do?" So then we ended up deciding that we'd go back to Edinburgh, and that I would do a carpentry furniture making course, with the intentions of going back to Palma to then do a similar style of work, but maybe just in joinery.
Right, okay.
And super yachts, furniture making and stuff like that. So we went back to Edinburgh. I joined a furniture making course, which was I think a year-long course, Chippendale Furniture School, something like that. Completed that, and then got another flight and back to Palma.
Back to Palma, and you were with your now wife at that time?
Now wife then, yeah. So
did she come on your crazy crusade with you? She went to Edinburgh and Palma?
Yeah, so she came with me to Edinburgh.
Brilliant.
And that was the first time she had lived abroad. So we did that together. And then she came to Palma with me, and we'd taken over a carpentry workshop there. And we sort of started to run that together. So she helped doing the bookkeeping-y stuff with that, and then had other jobs on the side as well just to fill her full time. And then we ran a carpentry workshop in Palma, doing like refits on super yachts. So using the sort of everything that I knew about the super yachts before and the contacts and things like that, and familiarity with Palma, and then the carpentry skills that we picked up, and just ran a small team of, I think we had a team of 8, 200 square meter workshop, all the tools, all the kit, everything, and
amazing.
Just cracked on.
So your first business then?
Yep, that was business number 1. Yeah,
amazing. And
I think it was 24
years old. So you're 24 years old. You've got a business employing 8 people doing carpentry and super yachts. So I love the way that you've just rhymed that off the tongue, as if it's like, as if I just get a paper run, you know. Yeah. There's quite a lot that goes into that. That's actually really, really impressive. What was your early experience of business like when you first got going?
It was hard. There was a lot more to it than you'd ever think, but I didn't spend too long thinking about anything either. It's just kind of, again, there's that sort of attitude of, right, cool, this needs to be done, let's just crack on and do it. A lot of learning quickly, but because you kind of knew the industry and there was a lot of familiarity as well, it was just sort of kind of getting back to normal, just slightly different. And then again, chapping on doors, seeing what people needed work, ringing up contacts that we knew, seeing what they needed to do. So that's where that summer that I spent day working helped a lot. So that would have been a few years prior to that, and then people had moved on from being lead deckhands and this, and they'd moved up slightly, and now they started being bosuns and first officers and stuff. So and then it would be like, so and so, Jamie works on that boat now. Quick, I'll go say hello, and then they'd be like, yeah, cool. We don't really need anything done, but sure, come and revarnish this for us. And then it sort of picked up slowly,
building the business up.
Yeah, and then it was very much the lesson we learned massively was like small jobs lead to big jobs. And it was just like picking up all the scraps we could, and then slowly leading into the bigger jobs. And you'd have these big jobs in the pipeline, and they would rarely come through. But when they did, it was great. Sometimes they were even too big for us. Sometimes they would come through, and you're like, actually, this is too big for us. Like, we can't actually do this job. And then you'd have to go to a bigger carpentry joinery workshop and say, look, can you actually do this for us? And then get them to do the work, and then you just put a couple of guys on it and things like that.
Still get some money from it.
Still get some money from it, but not kill yourself. That's
a really, really good point you've made, and I wonder just how many people overlook that around small jobs lead to big jobs. You know, we work in, we obviously have a marketing business, and we've got some clients that are amazing at that particular concept. Yeah. And we've got some other clients that are like, I'm not going to get out of bed to do that job.
Yeah. It's a difficult one. You got to have a balance of the two, I think. That's the biggest lesson. We're going through that right now again with our wholesale side of the business. So with the roastery, we didn't focus on any wholesale at all up until this year, really. And again, you fall into that trap of looking for all those big coffee shops or big contracts or big suppliers or big wholesalers, but they take time. You know, there's a lot of moving parts, and they've got to have meetings, and they've got to do this, they've got to do that. And you have a simple conversation with a guy down at the rugby club who's just come back from Canada, and good chat. He's opening a coffee shop. He has one. Cool, quick small win, bang, and then that conversation leads to another one, to another one, to another one. He opens another shop. Then great, we've got a supply at another shop, and so you just got to kind of look at everything. Everything, and don't overlook these small jobs, because they do often lead to bigger jobs.
And ask as well, which is a key thing. You know,
where someone says no. Generally speaking, might swear at you as well, but
I mean, just even thinking about these two examples in your journey so far, you know, just ask a question, see what happens. Which is amazing. So, how long did you have your carpentry business for? Is that still a business today, or
no? I think it's done now. I think we sold it on. To the guys who were working there. But we went to Palma last year, and we drove past it, and it's now a CrossFit gym. So,
is it?
I think it's done. But there was a lot of, so we left, part of the reason we left Mallorca as well was there was a lot more legislation coming into the port authorities, a lot more red tape. a lot more cost. Brexit was looming, and my wife was studying something in Germany as well, and just wasn't that into living in Mallorca anymore. So all those kind of reasons all sort of ended up winding up and just selling those off, and then eventually selling the flat.
Right, got you.
As well.
So you exited that business, sold it on.
Yeah.
Which is an achievement itself, getting the business to a good point, selling it on. Your wife was studying in Germany.
Yeah.
So yeah, just this quite international lifestyle from your childhood,
just moving,
just kind of continued. So once you decided that Mallorca was done for you, where did you go next?
Here.
Back to Scotland.
Back to Scotland, yeah. So that was sort of, again, what to do next moment. Went back to, so by this time, Dad left Shell, started working for another company down in London. They'd bought a house on the West Coast, and they're settled on the West Coast now. So on the Isle of Seal.
Right.
So they'd settled there. So we just left Mallorca, came back, van full of stuff, dog in the car, drove back, and just turned up at home and sort of we had time. So we were fine. There was no rush to do anything, and we just figured out what we want to do next. Working for someone was never probably an option. It never really has been on the boats either. That's probably why, part of the reason why I left as well, was probably too structured.
Yeah.
So it was just a case of, what are we going to do? We probably wanted a quieter lifestyle originally. So we were thinking about cafes and coffee shop and the cafe culture. And because in Mallorca, the cafe culture is amazing. Everything out, and you have, the sun shining, and coffees and croissants and, beers and stuff like that. And Oban just seemed like an okay place to do that. And we could just live quietly on Seal and take a minute and open a coffee shop and da-da-da. And then that led to, right, okay, cool. If we're going to do that, then we may as well just roast the coffee. And then if we roast the coffee, we may as well sell the coffee online, and we can, it's just a cheaper way to do everything. So we bought a coffee roaster first, bought some beans, and just started roasting coffee. Absolutely no idea what I was doing. Zero clue. It was literally like research coffee roasters, buy a coffee roaster, buy beans. So we had parents had like an old shed boathouse type thing in the grounds. So I refitted it, made it watertight, and insulated it, and did the floor, and just like handiwork, fitted it out, and then just received delivery of a coffee roaster from Holland. Ordered some beans from the north of England from a green bean supplier, and then designed some packaging, and off we went.
There you go. So this is how your current business today was just this is how it began. Yeah. And you mentioned about looking for something a bit more chilled and lifestyle. And it's funny how your thought process, listening to it there, it's like, well, we need so some people would have stopped at certain points there, right? They would have went, let's get a cafe. A lot of people would have stopped there. Yeah. Right? Let's bring in our own coffee. Maybe stop there. Yeah. Let's roast the coffee. Maybe stop there. You just kind of kept going. And, and also, again, you've mentioned, we've done some designs and packaging. Like, not everyone can do that.
Well, it turns out I'm not very good at it, but I can do it. So we've kind of just done everything from the start. So like I don't know if that's actually just get on with it as well.
Just give it a try.
Just give it a go, And it's like the minimal viable product as well. Like just get something, usually just get something out there that works. That's good enough. Yeah. That works. And then just keep tweaking it, keep improving it. Every opportunity you can, just keep improving it, keep improving it, keep improving it, keep improving it.
I think that's a great bit of tip. Like I remember getting a tip when I was a consultant, and it was sort of guy I worked with, and he said, don't let perfect get in the way of good.
Oh yeah.
Just get it out there.
Yeah.
Get it going.
I'm happy. I'm happy with 80%.
Yeah.
If I'm 80% happy with something, then it's go.
Yeah. Go for it.
And it's a fast go. It's like now.
Excellent.
And we sort of do that. We imply that now across the business with kind of everything all the time. As long as I'm 80% happy, then just crack on.
Just go for it.
Yeah.
And so at this point, you decide sort of cafe lifestyle.
Yeah.
Coffee, roasting coffee.
Yeah.
talk to us about how you came up with the name Hinba and how you got the branding together. And you said you're not too good at it, but your business looks pretty good to me nowadays.
So, the name. So I wanted a short word to start with.
Yep.
It's just something like monosyllabic, 2 syllables, something quick, fast, off the tongue. So that's where kind of the name started. And then we wanted something West Coast-y, but not gimmicky. We kind of wanted something that didn't really mean anything either, that didn't have any connotations to anything, and we just wanted a word that was kind of completely unique. And then the origin of the word comes from 2 places and 2 conversations. One, my dad's a massive historian buff and Scottish history and things like that. And basically the Isle of Seal was one of the locations where Brendan the Navigator arrived to Scotland to spread Christianity.
Right.
And where the roastery is, there's like a wee mound just outside, just to the left of it, and that's called Brendan's Knoll. So there was that element to it of like, okay, this is where, and what that represented as well, of like people gathering and talking and calm and peace. And so that sort of where the original idea sort of started, keeping it very Hebridean and local to there, because part of our thing is all roasted up on seal. The non-pollutants, the clarity, straight from mountains to us, and it's just kind of a whole process,
Yeah.
And then that sort of migrated into, okay, what other sort of, what can I also back that up as meanings as well? And it also, Hinba comes from 2 old Gaelic words. I've read this somewhere, I could be fact checked on this, but in and ba as well, which is land in the sea.
Okay.
Which is also nice and romantic, and we sort of like that as well. So it comes from 2 kind of ways. It's sort of like originally starts from there, but it's sort of verified with this other meaning.
That's really cool, and it kind of captures a bit of your story as well, land and sea.
Yeah, I guess.
But I don't know if that was intentional, but that's what it made me think of.
And then the logo is this tree with windblown. So it's like a windblown tree, and the winds come from the west, and the trees offset to the sort of east with this westerly wind hits this thing, and it's actually a tree. If you come out of the roastery and look across the island, there's this hill above, and there's this one tree that sort of depicts that as well. So that's sort of that's the origins of the logo
of the brand. Are you sure he's not that good at branding? He said earlier that sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah.
And so you've got your vision, you've got your brand, you've bought your roaster for Holland.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure would have cost a few quid.
It was a bit of kit. Yeah.
Big bit of kit. What was day one of the business? Once you've got all these foundations, when did you start? So what did it look like in its first iteration?
So the idea at the start was sell online.
Yeah.
Sell online, e-commerce, and sell in our coffee shop, which was to come at some point soon.
Yeah.
We started, I think it was in June or July 2019, and we did the Seal Craft Fair, and that was our first ever thing. So it was just roasting coffee, and doing all our packaging and things like that, and getting all our branding and sorting, which went through several iterations, and a lot of thought went into that. And then it was just literally like, cool, we need to sell as much of this stuff as possible, just volume. And then that was the sort of the idea from the outset was, build a website, and then go and do these craft fairs, and then look for a shop that we could then open. And then the idea was like refit the shop ourselves and keep all these costs as low as possible. And that was sort of the plan, and that was it. Open a specialty coffee shop in Oban. And that was it.
That was it. And
that was as far as we were thinking at the time.
Brilliant. And that first trade show, or local show or farm show, whatever you would categorise it as, rings similarities to walking through the dock, chapping in the boats for work. You're standing there asking the question.
Yeah.
How did it go?
Well, we sold out. It was great. Yeah. So we'd even do things like, so we'd have, we thought a lot about the process. So the carpentry stuff helped a lot with like processes and stuff. You'd think a lot about processes of like when you're building a piece of furniture. You know, there's a lot of stages that go into building this piece of furniture. It's from the veneering, the gluing, the cutting, the trimming, the varnishing, the everything, the building, the plans, the maps, I think. So we just sort of used that knowledge and then just did that the whole way through the system. So we turned up with a certain amount of bags pre-packed that we knew we were going to sell. That we'd like, this is a reasonable guess to what we're going to sell, because we didn't want any wastage at the time as well. We'd have buckets of each of the beans that we'd have with empty bags, with empty labels, and a grinder behind us, because we didn't grind any coffee because ground coffee goes off quicker. Right. And we'd do that all to order and a bit of a show on the day. We sold everything, I think, on the day, which was amazing for like a village, an island, West Coast island village fair. I don't know how much we sold, but we made whatever we made, a couple £100 or whatever it was. I can't even remember the numbers. Just in this room full of other local
people.
Yeah, local people with artisan products. Yeah,
it's amazing. And was it at that point? So there's always like, I always think that when you start a new business, there's a balance of sheer excitement and then nervousness, because you're like, is anybody going to buy what I'm going to offer? Yeah. Did you feel that before that event, or were you just quite confident in what you'd done? And
I don't think I felt that, but I don't think I was confident either. I think I was just like, let's
just do the event.
We've got to do this. Like, this is part of the process. This is part of the journey. This is just, ticking a box of this has to be done to get to the next phases. So
yeah, so you weren't looking beyond that, just focusing on...
you just take that, do that, see how it goes. I guess it was a test, I guess, probably. Yeah. Well, I probably more saw it as like a test of the procedures and if people bought it, and then the feedback and things like that.
But probably a bit of fun as well, right?
It was good fun, it was good fun. And I did it with my brother as well, so he lent me a hand. Right. So Ness, my wife, she hadn't come across yet, or she was back in Germany. She wasn't there for some reason. But then we did another one in at Christmas, and she was there for that one, and then again full sellout again. But yeah, my brother helped me. He had absolutely no idea what he was doing. He would just be like, every time they asked him a question, he'd be just like,
speak to my brother.
Yeah.
Was that the real launch pad then for the brand?
Yeah. It gave us confidence in what we were doing. But it's funny, we'll probably loop back to this as well, but the guy on the stand next to us, he has now become our sort of absolute right-hand man in the business. He then became our first employee, and he was selling his own chopping boards and spoons and other woodworking things. So his parents and my parents are friends, but we sort of just like...
Yeah, how you doing? Yeah. How you getting on?
I don't think we even spoke to each other. We said hello once or something like that in the whole time. But yeah, he later on became to be pretty integral in what we're doing now.
Amazing. So you got through those first tests. There was a market, people were buying your coffee, which is amazing. Yeah. What was the sort of next phase that you went on? I know you mentioned about e-com. So e-com's, there's probably e-com sites popping up all over the place every day, but very few of them have been we're around probably, for as long as you have.
Yeah, we're probably pretty rubbish at it, to be fair. It's actually quite a small percentage of our overall business is what we sell online. It grows every month slowly, but it's probably at a stage where we should get someone in to have a look at it properly and really drive it, because at the moment it's still us thumbing around. Yeah. Trying to make things better, and with the limited amount of time we can actually dedicate to doing it, it's just growing slowly organically in the background. So we're probably at a point where it's about the right time to get someone have a proper crack at it.
Get someone have a look at it. That makes sense. I will give us a shout after we'll have a look. But you mentioned that's just kind of, which is great, by the way, organic, even if it's just a wee %, 5% every month, that's ticking over. So what is your sort of primary market? Where do you service most customers in?
So now it's cups of coffee sold to customers out of our units.
Yeah.
So that was the goal as well. It was like when the original idea was I wanted to get. I love Land Rover Defenders, my favorite car in the world. I used to have one, and my wife wrote it off. So I'm not that bitter about that.
I hope she was okay. I'm laughing, but I hope she was all right.
She was fine. The dogs were fine.
Yeah, good.
The car was not fine. But I'm not bitter. So the original idea was to buy these and fit them out with coffee facilities and have them parked around places and just sort of hire hourly baristas to sell cups of coffee, because that's where you're making the most money, is you're breaking down it to 18 grams serving and selling it for whatever, three quid. So that was kind of where we saw it would work the best. So that was the original idea, and then do events and stuff like that and not have a bricks and mortar spot. So it went from having a cafe to a roastery to then actually bricks and mortar is expensive. Let's just buy a bunch of Land Rovers and drive them around places. That'll also be cool and fun. But just planning that. And then I think an opportunity came up where my mum's hairdresser was leaving his site in Oban, and it was quite a cool site. And we could see the potential of that being a cafe. So I went to knock on the door of the landlord, because he had a chip shop up the road, and was just like, I've heard your tenant's leaving from there. Can I have the unit? And he put me on ice for a bit, and then got in touch with me later on and said, look, I've got a better thing for you. How about you take and COVID had just kicked in now. COVID had just started. And he goes, I tell you what, you can have my wife's unit. She doesn't want to run the cafe anymore. This thing's hit and she's kind of on the way. She was kind of had a foot out the door anyway. This has been the final straw. Do you want this cafe unit? It is the best site in Oban. The best site. It is right in front of the distillery. It is right in front of the pull-in bus stop and a pull-in area. It is right on the harbour. It is the best site. Big window. And we're just like, you can't, like, that is a once in a decade or 20-year opportunity to get this, like, whoever goes in there stays there. So we took it, and then we just took it at the start of COVID, and then we're like, cool, we've got this now. And then we just refitted it ourselves, took that sort of that first lockdown period, gutted it, rebuilt it, and then just ready for the time that the restrictions started to lift and that people could come back in one by one. And that was it.
Wow, yeah. That's amazing. So do you think, looking back on that, maybe I would always say you've made your own luck there, but just because how you've went about your career and always just been like, let's give it a go. But it sounds like COVID actually, just because that became available, was just a timing thing for you? Yeah,
timing. A lot of stuff's been timing for us.
Yeah.
We've had good luck with timing. But yeah, so that was just good luck and timing, and then actually having that opportunity so he gave us a good rent-free period as well. So we got a nice good chunky rent-free period. We had COVID, like, it was cheaper to do everything. We ordered in materials. That was the only thing that was expensive. The materials were through the roof by then. Ordered in materials, but then we used things like OSB, cheap materials, which then gave the place character. Yeah. I kind of wanted to have that look anyway, but it helped.
Yeah, amazing.
And just cracked on.
But you had those skills and that knowledge as well, didn't you?
Yeah, that we could do. Yeah, so we did everything. We did everything. We did.
I guess it was still risky as well, even although you could maybe see, coming out of COVID, and there would be recovery, but nobody knew.
No, right? No one knew, and there was no guarantees of anything either. I think we negotiated a clause that, like, had COVID carried on, then we wouldn't pay rent. Right. Or something like that. We did negotiate something like that, or we'd review it, or we'd do something. So there was an element of, like, safety net-ish there, but it was all fine, all lifted, and no worries. Yeah.
Yeah. And what was opening day like for the unit?
Mental.
In the cafe?
So, like, I'd never made a coffee for anyone ever before, like not barista trained, not anything, like nothing. Like we learned everything on YouTube. We bought a coffee machine for the roastery just so that we could practice making coffees, but like zero knowledge really of how to operate a hands-on hospitality business. And it was just me and Ness there, just like Tweedledum and Tweedledee, just making coffees. And I think we made like, I don't know, like 50 coffees on the first day or something. And we're like, this is fucking mental. How busy is this?
Yeah.
This is wild. Like, and then I remember like subsequently, like as we like made more and more coffees each day, I started being like, oh my God, like we're going to get to 100 coffees a day one day. This is crazy. But also the quick reality of like, for me, that's that in is like, oh wow, you like we need to sell a lot of coffees to make this work. It's like we need to be in the hundreds of coffees a day to actually make this work. You know, it's a really nice romantic idea, opening a coffee shop and, you know, going about your business and making 1 or 2 coffees a day and da 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 da. It's not that. No, you have to
volume.
You have to volume. Yeah, it's about hammering it, which I guess then led to the arms and legs process of the whole rest of everything.
Yeah, sort of adding on to it. So, you know, firstly, well done, because I don't, you know, get on a limb and say not many people would have been, even if you did have clauses, not many people would have been opening up bricks and mortar businesses during a lockdown.
Yeah.
I think fair play to you, because you've won. I know you were clever with how you negotiated it, but you didn't let that hold you back. I think most people that went, right, we need to see what happens with the world before we do anything.
Yeah.
So I think that's amazing, firstly. And then you've got into it, you didn't go, well, I don't know how to make a coffee. You just learned.
Yeah.
Learned how to make a coffee.
Yeah.
And you've mentioned about the arms and the legs came after, right?
Yeah.
So 50 coffees a day, 100 coffees a day, right? What was next? What was the arms and the legs
So
that
I
you
guess,
added in?
I guess the journey to that point though was during the COVID period as well, and that growth and coming in. This is where the chap from the village hall then joined us. So he became our first employee. So we also noticed that we needed to be open more, and there's only 2 of us. And like, well, we were working like, I think we were open from like 10 till 3. I think at the start, 5 days a week. We had a day off, and then we were roasting the other day. So, but then we realized that actually we need to be open all the time. So we actually need someone either helping out the roastery or in here. So, we were just having this conversation of how we're going to restructure and stuff like that. And then I think Mum had mentioned that we were thinking about employing someone as well to her friend Judy, whose son Gillespie is the guy. And she like dragged him along or brought him along to the shop. And we just met him there. Like they came in as a 1-by-1 and sort of, hi, awkward, hi, how are you? And it was basically, yeah, cool. Do you want to start tomorrow? And he was like, yeah, perfect, cool. And the way we structured it was, I can't remember exactly, but we'd work in the shop, and then we'd have the day off, and then we'd do the roastery, but we'd do the packing on, like, let's say on the Tuesday. So we'd roast on the Monday, do the packing on the Tuesday, and the shipping, because after we'd finished in the coffee shop. So I got him to, so he started the following Tuesday then. So we got him to the Tuesday and said, all right, meet us at the roastery. And what we'll do is we'll just get you to pack the bags, put them in the boxes, and that's it. That's all you need to do. So he became just like, he came through the roastery first and packing the bags. And then he came in that day, packing bags all day, phoned him up, and I was like, how have you got on? He's like, yeah, no, I'm all good. I'm all done. I've tidied up the roastery a little bit as well. Do you mind if I go? And I was like, yeah, that's fine. He's like, yeah, it's my birthday. So I was like, why have you come in today? Like, I was like, why have you come in? Well, you could have said no. Like, we would have been absolutely fine for another week without you. But that sort of like defines him as a person as well, and how he has done everything going forward. It's like, he just says yes, cracks on, and
really reliable.
Yeah, loves a whinge. Yeah. Loves a whinge.
We all do, don't we?
But we'll get the job done every time.
So so you've mentioned about the roastery and roasting coffee, right? So I wouldn't say I'm a novice when it comes to coffee. I like my coffee, but talk to us about that actual process of roasting your own coffee.
So starts with like green bean selection. Like your quality of the coffee out is always going to be defined by the quality of the green beans you are buying. And so first of all, specialty coffee is like coffee that's graded 85 points and above. And it's graded on aroma, quality, acidity, amount of defects, just a whole bunch of things. And then they get a coffee grading, and coffee that's graded 85 and above is deemed specialty. So first of all, we're buying within that range. Yeah. And you're buying from all places around the world and all varieties, different altitudes and stuff like that. And that gives coffee different potential flavors. Right?
Got you.
Which is basically the sugars that are locked inside the beans from when they grow. So coffee beans grow inside a fruit. There's this pulp outside, and there are two beans that sit inside the cherries. There's different processes to how to get those beans out of the cherry as well. So you can wash them, you can like partially wash them, you can leave them to fully naturally dry. There's a whole bunch of ways, and then there's different ways you can dry them on sunbeds and shade and this, that, and the other. Co-fermenting, you can leave them in with other fruits and stuff like that, and they absorb a bit of the flavors of different fruits and have different flavors. So this is starting there. The roasting process, basically, then you have to heat the roaster up to a temperature, depending on what coffee you're roasting. The altitudes it's grown in, the density, the size of the bean, you start that at different temperatures, right?
Yeah.
So your charge point starts at a different spot, and then you dump, and the amount of coffee you're roasting as well.
Yeah.
So you start at a different charge point. You dump all your coffee in. We track it with sensors, and it's temperature over time. You get this big heat sink because you're dropping a bunch of cold coffee beans into a hot roaster. So the sensors then it cools down the roaster, essentially. And then you hit a tipping point. So at that point is when everything's equal, and then the beans start to heat up again.
Right.
So depending on what you want to aim for different turning points as well, sometimes depending on what bean and what this and what that and whatever. And then that's really where the journey starts. And then you can alter the flavor, or the flavor, the acidity, the brightness, the clarity of coffees by manipulating that temperature over time.
Right,
curve.
Okay.
So you go through different phases. You go through like a drying phase, a Maillard phase, which is where the sugars caramelize, and then a development phase, which is right at the end. That's after the thing we call first crack. Basically, you can go we could all have three different roasters roast the same beans and have different styles, and the coffee will taste different ways each time. So there's a little bit of that. There's a little bit of that sort of artisan element to it, where there's no right way. It's just your style.
Yeah. And did it take? I mean, I find that really fascinating. Actually, I had no idea there was so much variety with one individual coffee bean that you could use.
Yeah.
Did that take a lot of? So, like, thinking back to the early days, was there a lot of trial and error with that? Or was it? So
we've been but we've been like really scientific about it from day one.
Right.
Like we've had the electronic tracking stuff from day one, so I could go back. I could probably put it up on my phone, but it's all cloud based. So I could pull up the first ever roast we did, and you could essentially learn from that. And then it's like reading books and like listening to other people on YouTube and stuff like that. But there's like a million theories and different ways, and different countries have different styles and stuff. And I think it's just find what works. First is what we want, and then hopefully that aligns with what other people also,
your customers
what our customers also work. Or you find your group, and then your customers are your customers because they like the way you roast coffee. So and then there are others who don't.
When you first asked that question, I guess you took a deep breath. I could see you. Can you tell me about the process? And you went like that.
Yeah,
but that is a proper systematic thought process. It sounds kind of like scientific laboratory.
Yeah.
But a lot of kind of thought, but a lot of processes in place that you've thought, and that might go back to your carpentry days as well when you're talking about systemization and how do we get from there to the end. You seem to just be blending all that kind of information.
Yeah, exactly.
And data driven as well.
Data driven, and we carry that over to our coffee shops as well, like to making an espresso. That's like the next bit. There's that's a whole other thing in itself. Like we have software that tracks the shots pulled in the coffee shops, so that you can see whether coffees in different shops are being pulled within the right parameters and data ranges to make it consistent across all the units. And then so each coffee, so after the roasting process, and then you decide, okay, this coffee needs to be a little bit more acidic. We'll tweak and change this part of it. We'll put more heat on here, less heat on there, more air here, more air there, longer or shorter roast times, all of that stuff. You then deliver the beans to the shop. Certain beans have better resting times than other because they degas, they lose CO2. So certain beans taste better after a longer period of time. Certain beans taste better after shorter periods of time to balance out. So there's that. And then you take them into the shops, and then so we're part of what we do is unique is we have 3 single origin coffees on at once, which is essentially the same as the best comparison I think is like a single malt whiskey.
Right. Yeah.
So those beans come from one farm, generally speaking. Sometimes you get cooperatives, but one area, in that case in Africa, like one area, group of farmers grow one varietal or certain varietals. They all come together into a mixing station. They get sorted, a sorting station, sorted, packed, shipped. So that coffee's all the same. So that coffee roasted our way has a certain recipe, which may be like 18.5 grams at a certain grind setting to a certain yield. So that when the barista does that one, puts it in, boom, we are expecting in the cup like 30, whatever, arbitrary numbers, 35 grams of coffee for 18 gram dose in 32 seconds for that coffee.
And this is all part of your system that you...
It's all part of the system.
That system, is that... I love a system, right? I'm a systems guy, so this is right up my street. Have you implemented that for what's the core drivers? Is it to control the quality that the customer gets, or is it around efficiency of the barista, or is it about both?
Both. First of all, quality driven.
Yeah.
It was so we first noticed it like day one of running the coffee shop was problematic. I'm a lot stronger than my wife, and when I tamped coffee, I tamped it harder than she was tamping coffee. So we were having, like from day one, we were having inconsistencies of this process. And we had to come up with rules inside saying, okay, to tamp, we're going to both do this. This is the way we tamp. Done.
That makes sense, actually. So when you say tamp...
It's the pushing down of the
coffee into the machine that makes it. And if you're putting more of that in, then the person on the other end is going to get a stronger coffee compared to your wife.
It might be imbalanced or acidic, or so it might not. It just might not taste right.
Got you.
So like we noticed that from day one that we were having a problem with this, so we had to sort that out and then create these guidelines, because then we thought like, okay, cool. If we have other people doing this, everyone's going to be tamping differently, and so we need to do this. We now have they're called puck presses, so they do your automatic tamping. So that's now in all the shops as standard. So there's no manual tamping in any of our shops, and they're all set to the same PSI.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense to me, actually, because naively, when I think of coffee shops, I think it's this probably isn't naive. It's just more of a recognition that baristas are really good. I used to just think baristas were just like these people that just knew how to make coffees, and they obviously do, but they done it all by hand and everything was all there. But then thinking about the consequences of getting that wrong, it starts to make sense why you would need a system.
So we weigh everything. We time every shot. We have automatic tampers, and we can track all the shots made everywhere.
That's amazing.
And then you can see outliers and stuff, and you can see where dial-ins have happened and not happened and things like that. We try and have all the same equipment everywhere, but it just hasn't quite worked. We've got majority of the same equipment in places. Just to keep that, again, consistency.
Amazing.
Does the majority of your clients appreciate all that?
Difficult to say. There's an element of, and I'll probably be outcasted from the specialty coffee community for saying this, but like, if you're putting a certain amount of milk in, or syrups in, or anything like that, it probably doesn't matter. Like those flavors are too strong, and they'll take over the coffee. But it's for when we do serve like the Americanos, long blacks, espressos especially. It's like that is when it has to be.
It's going to have a bigger
bang
impact.
on. Yeah, it has to be bang on, and you can't just concentrate on those moments only, because you're going to build bad habits.
Yeah, okay.
Across every shot. So
regardless of what you add in there,
so it's just
standard base.
Yeah, it's easier just to say, right, every coffee has to be like this.
That makes sense.
End of story.
And I find this fascinating,
Me
right?
as well.
So I'm going to get on to like how many shops and stuff like that. You know, you've mentioned across all the sites, so we'll get on to that. But see your clientels that come into the shops, right? I'd imagine there'll be quite a variety of people.
Yeah.
You know, are a lot of them quite educated on coffee?
Spectrum.
Yeah.
Massive spectrum. Like we put flavor notes on all our coffees as well. So like the Brazil's like chocolate, hazelnut, maple syrup or something like that. The Uganda is fruity pineapple and something else. And it's not necessarily that they will taste like that, but it's like aromas of, or remind you of, or some do taste like that. Like we had Peruvian coffee in the other day, and it tasted like cream strawberries. Like it tasted like cream strawberries. So we get sometimes like people coming in, they'll order it, and we'll offer them, you know, the script is they come in, hello, blah, 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 what coffee do you want? We've got a choice of 3 different coffee origins, and we explain them through the coffee origins, and they're like, look at them and go, oh, no, I'm allergic to nuts. You're like, no, it's just a flavour of nut. No, I'm allergic to nuts. I need to have the other one.
Yeah.
You're like, so you get that, or they're just like, I don't care, cappuccino, hot as possible.
Yeah.
You know, 4 sugars. You're like, fine. And then you get other guys that come in being like, oh my God, you're serving a Ethiopian geisha natural from so-and-so farmer. Amazing. Can I please have that as 3 different drinks? And they'll sip each one.
Yeah. That's cool.
So you're not judgmental at all.
Not
you
at all.
Just want to make sure that standard is as you are designed.
Yeah, from day one, we want to create like the best product start, but we'll serve you whatever you want. Like, if you like caramel lattes, and that's your calibrated tasting caramel lattes, then we'll make you the best caramel latte we can make you. But I'm not going to drink a caramel latte.
You know what, you mentioned evolution and tweaking a wee while ago in the conversation, just taking you right back to that, you know, that first event that you had. My goodness, it sounds like it's a massive journey from that first standpoint. Like you even said, I'd never even done this before, you know. I've never done it before. Where you are now, and you've kind of synchronized everything through to something that sounds quite special. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on.
I just think it's fascinating. So when we think back to the local show when you sold that first barrel of coffee, what does the business look like now? So you mentioned a couple of sites. Talk us through the sort of overview.
We've got the roastery. We've got 4 coffee shops, 3 in Glasgow, 1 in Oban, a bakery, and 2 restaurants. Amazing.
All from that one purchase of the machinery for Holland and the one show. And I think that's fantastic, and I can see why it's worked well for you, Fergus, because even asking you to talk us through the process, you live and breathe this stuff. You know it comes right through your passion.
It's 24/7.
Which is amazing. So it's no like you click your finger and you have all of that, right? There's obviously going to be points where things have went well, maybe things didn't go so well, but let's focus on any hiccups along the way, first of all, and then we'll focus on what's really worked for you, right? So introducing bricks and mortar businesses, cafes, restaurants, shops. What's the biggest challenge of that expansion been for you? Staffing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Easily. Getting people on board our vision is the sort of, like, I've always tried, and especially with Gillespie, and he now does it amazingly. Like, we're trying to get people to think the way we think. as well, and to really buy into what we're doing. And not necessarily be like brand ambassadors or anything like that, and be like, Hinba is the best thing in the world. Like, everyone needs to drink Hinba and Hinba. But it's just being like, okay, cool, this is the way we like to do stuff. And these are the decisions. These are the way we come to the decisions we make, and we try and be open and explain things. And if something goes wrong, I never really get angry at anyone, or upset or anything like that. But it's just like a case of like, okay, cool. Why did you do that? Like, what made you make that decision at that point? Okay, fine. I would have done this because of X, Y, Z. And then we just help. So the next time that thing comes along, that person still has the authority to make the decision, but hopefully they'll make a better one.
Yeah.
And then that's sort of been a lot of what we try and do with when we get staff on, especially like the managerial level, is that. And we give people a lot of freedom to do stuff. Like, there's no point in micromanaging. There's only a certain amount of hours in my day. I can't be everyone. I can't be making decisions for everyone all the time. So we do a lot of that, but it's then making sure we have those right people in the right places. And if they're not the right people, it's identifying that quickly, and then moving them on, or finding out why they aren't being the right person and try and help them become the right person. But some people just aren't, they're not going to align with what we want to do or how we want to do things. And that's just the way it is. And those people are going to be happier somewhere else.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like, we've had conversations with people as well, and they're just like, look, you're just probably not the right fit for the way we want to do things and the way we work and what we expect. So you're probably going to be happier somewhere else, because you're just getting frustrated with me coming down on you the whole time, and I'm getting frustrated with you for not doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And
it's par for the course, isn't it? With a business like yours, and most businesses that are growing, really.
Yeah.
Finding the right people. And across, like, sort of all the different shops and the roastery, and how many people do you have working across all of those sites now?
Fluctuates, I think, between like 48 and 51.
Yeah.
Roughly.
So you've got a big team now, which is amazing. And as you say, you'll have some that are amazing, some that maybe don't quite fit, and you just need to keep going. Yeah. Amazing, right? Next question, let's focus on the more positive stuff, right? So, I don't think this has came about by luck. You must have made a series of really good decisions over the years, right? Was there any particular things that you can remember implementing in the business that just worked remarkably well in regards to scaling it?
I think this is just the systems and the like, from the way we want the coffee to be made to Gillespie's been a big part of the journey as well. Ness and I taught him to be mini versions of us, basically. Ness she was all hands-on in the shop with me. It was me and her doing everything at the start. And then she has now moved, as we have built more staff, she now does all the invoicing, all the bookkeeping, all the sort of HR, payroll-y, contract-y, paperworky stuff. Not my forte at all. So she's, when she's not looking after Lewis, our child, then she's like the rest of the time full-time stuck behind a computer, keeping everything right. And it's just, we needed her to step away from doing what she was doing, which was the sort of more of the housekeeping, ordering inside the coffee shop. So we needed to transfer all of that to Gillespie at one point for us to be able to grow the business. So the idea was that we wanted to move out of Oban, and we wanted to open. So to do that, we had to open another shop in Glasgow. That was the sort of the conditions, like the maths of it. It was like, if we want to move, we need to have something to do down there. Yeah. So we are going to run the shop in Glasgow, and we'll get Gillespie to be a mini version of us, and he needs to run the shop in things. So it's just from that day deciding to do that is going, okay, to do that, we need structure. We need a way of doing things, and then just implementing that to him. And then he's managed to implement that to the next set. He's now going to move down to Glasgow soon. And it's just sort of that, passing that along the chain, and then trying implementing that at every place that we do it. And we've got good managers, and we've had bad managers as well. And the good ones have been ones that have taken on that structure and built on it as well. Like some have actually made it stronger, more solid, and others have not stuck to it, and places have actually got worse. And, like, we've lost revenue in certain units, and we then have to like bring new people in and rebuild them and go through that.
Brilliant. So obviously Gillespie's played a big part in things.
Yeah.
And thinking back to the story, let me make sure I've got this right. He was the one who was next to you.
He was the one who was next to us. Yeah.
Just shows you, doesn't it?
Yep.
But I mean, fair play to what you have done. And what does the future look like for Hinba? What's in your grand plans?
So no, short term's consolidate. So opening the restaurants has been a whole other thing. That's been like the next big learning curve, and like running a restaurant is not the same as running a cafe. It's completely different. It's another beast.
Right.
So first of all, getting that as tight as we have the coffee shops, and then once we've got that, then it's I'll probably get bored and we'll do something else, and another unit or that, or opportunities. A lot of it's opportunity based. I think every shop that we've pretty much opened has been opportunity based. The first Glasgow shop, opportunity based. My parents were visiting my brother. He was down in Glasgow, studying in Glasgow at the time. They went into the restaurant, which we now run. Was speaking to the owner there. Son's looking to move back down to Glasgow, wants a coffee shop. He's like, I've got the unit next door. It's empty. Does he want it?
There you go.
So did a co-refit with him. He used it at night. We used it during the day. Done.
And Ziques was the first restaurant?
Ziques was the first restaurant. That was 2024, August 2024. And that came about a roundabout way. We were after a bakery only. So pain points of running the coffee shop in Glasgow, we only had one coffee shop, but it was still too much of a pain point, was pastry supply. They wouldn't deliver. None of the bakers would deliver every day, and the ones that did deliver more consistently, 6 days a week, they took 2 weeks holiday in summers. So we'd be every Sunday without fresh pastry, and 2 weeks in the summer without fresh pastry. Drove me nuts, absolutely nuts. So we're like, we need a bakery. We need this vertical integration. We need to supply our own stuff. We need control of it. And you get products that were like slightly subpar coming in. On the whole, everything amazing, but like we didn't have full control of it. So we were looking for bakeries. And then it just came out an off conversation with the chef in the restaurant next door. Chatting with him, his girlfriend's stepmom was selling her bakery. Perfect. Got that conversation started, negotiated a good deal, and then she put us on ice again for that. And she had Ziques, the restaurant, and she had this bakery. But she wanted to sell them as a pair in the end because that's what someone else had offered her. So then the deal just to buy the bakery turned into, well, you can't have them unless you take both. And we were like, well, I guess we could run a brunch restaurant. That'll feel right. I guess we'll do that then if that is the means to the end. And it was a freehold opportunity, so borrowing was fine. The bank was all right with that. Big freehold opportunity in the West End. And the way the deal ended up working, the bakery pretty much came free with the deal, the way the maths kind of worked out. So it sort of was like, cool, let's go for it. Let's go for it. But it was not as simple as originally thought. A lot of cobwebs. A lot of learning. But yeah. So.
And that was restaurant number one?
That was restaurant number one, Ziques, yeah. So it was predominantly brunch restaurant, and it did this like dribs and drabs of food stuff, but it didn't really have a evening identity very well. We changed that. That didn't really work very well. And then we ended up having a big staff turnover in there. And we just thought, okay, this is the perfect opportunity to do exactly what we would want to do with this place. Because before we kept just adjusting what they were doing before and just tweaking it, which didn't really work in this instance. So this game was a really good opportunity to just go, right, stop, let's just restart. And then we knew of another head chef, who was super aligned with our idea. And he just came on board and took it. And now the evenings are now more successful than the brunch daytime. So we actually have to pull back the brunch daytimes again, because it's that ebb and flow of how it is. So it's now a Spanish restaurant in the West End, and the food's amazing. And that's like, it's funny when I talk about the bakery and the two restaurants, I'm like completely objective because I have zero talent there, and when the stuff's bad, the stuff's bad, it's not great. And we're super open with the feedback to everyone about it. And the food's amazing. Like, it's so good. It's like genuinely authentic. Like, I've had my best mate over from Mallorca, and he's like, it was a compliment in a way, because he says this restaurant wouldn't probably do that well in Spain just because the food's so Spanish and normal and great. It's not exciting, but here it's super authentic, and it's not your gimmicky tapas place. It's Spanish food. Amazing.
And also that kind of takes you back to your Spanish.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love going in there for like a Spanish beer and a vermouth and sitting down and eating my croquetas and I love going there to do that. But the next challenge is bringing the brunch back. So we've got another chef back that we really trust, and he's going to come in. He's like, his main focus is getting that brunch back to what it was.
Try to start getting that going again.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's just phenomenal what you've achieved in in a grand scheme of things, not a lot of time.
No, short time.
You've got your second restaurant, you've got your multiple coffee shops, you've got your roastery, all from that one instance of, what do we do next? Let's buy a roasting machine. Yeah. I think I could talk to you all day about coffee and tapas.
Me as well. That's been an absolute education, but a really pleasant one. Just a whole journey through what you started with and what you've ended with. But you mentioned a few times you didn't think too much about things. Perfection wasn't always what. No. But at the end of the conversation, there is a lot of quite perfection that kind of flows through there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of methodology and logic and systems and stuff like that. That's just amazing, and it's obviously that's helped you to be successful in what you've done. You've embraced it.
Yeah,
definitely. And before we wrap up, for anyone who's listening to this thinking, I want to go and get some coffee, I want to go and get some tapas, I want to go to your other restaurant, where can everyone find you?
So we've got the bakeries on Lauderdale Gardens in Hindland.
Yep.
Amazing. Just, it's a takeaway bakery. They do everything in-house. They've won awards for the breads and sourdoughs and pastries. Actually, there's another competition this weekend, this big Scottish competition, so we're hoping to place quite well in that. Then we've got one coffee shop on Dumbarton Road, 86 Dumbarton Road, another one on Socky Hall Street, 274 Socky Hall Street, another one Great Western Road.
Brilliant.
They're all the same. Also serve all the products from the bakery. And there's more to come. We're going to start developing the offerings in there more with Ziques soon. And then we've got Ziques, which is a Spanish restaurant at night, and then a brunch during the day. And then we've got Tusco, which is our latest thing, which we launched 2 weeks ago.
Brilliant.
2 weeks ago, which is Italian-inspired food.
And your carpentry skills inside as well.
Yeah. So we need a cupboard hanger or something like that, a door fix, and I'll
I think it's a bit better than that.
Amazing, Fergus. Well, look, thanks for coming on today and giving us, I said at the start of this, it might have been a zigzag story, but it's been a phenomenal, story. Well done for everything you've achieved, and I'm sure anyone listening to that's got an idea bubbling away in their head, can take a lot of inspiration. Just go for
fantastic.
it. Just go for it.
Stuff.
But thank you again.
Cool. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Fergus. That was great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Cheers.